So coming to the next rule here. So there is this S plane and there is this D of S plane. So this is D of S plane and this is S plane. So now you take a closed counter in the S plane. So the closed counter is in the S plane. I'll take it as this. And this is having two poles. Now within this S plane, the direction is in the clockwise direction. This S plane, this counter C in the S plane is encircling or enclosing two poles. There are two poles. Now the D plane in the D of S plane, the map, when you map the C counter to the D of S plane, you will have a D counter. Now this D counter will encircle the origin twice, but in the opposite direction. So if here you have clockwise direction, then this will be in the anti-clockwise direction. So in the anti-clockwise direction, it will encircle the origin. So I can write, so if a counter uh, like if the counter C, if the counter C encircles P poles, if it is encircles P poles in clockwise direction, then the counter D, this is the counter D, this is counter C. So the counter D will encircle the origin, Z times, sorry, not Z times, P times in the opposite direction. The opposite direction is counterclockwise, that is anti-clockwise direction. In the anti-clockwise direction. Similarly, if you have counter C encircling P poles in the anti-clockwise direction, then the counter D will encircle the origin in clockwise direction. So when you encircle the pole, the in the S plane, the corresponding encirclement in D of S plane will be in the opposite direction as that of the original encirclement. So that is our rule number 3. So next, coming to both zeros and poles. If you have both zeros and poles, so you can write, if counter C encircles both zeros and encircles Z zeros and P poles in the clockwise direction, in clockwise direction, then the corresponding counter, then the corresponding contour D in D of S plane encircles the origin, of D of S plane z equal to p minus n times in clockwise direction. In clockwise direction. Okay. Now, if you have first case now in this, if z is greater than 0, which means that number of poles is greater than, sorry, I'll repeat again. This is not z is equal to p minus n. This is z minus p is equal to n. Z minus p is equal to n. Okay, now z minus p is equal to n times in the clockwise direction. So if now n is greater than 0, first case, if n is greater than 0, which means that the number of zeros are more than number of p. So it is a positive, n is a positive number. So the encirclement will be in the clockwise direction. Similarly, if n is less than 0, that is number of zeros is less than number of poles, then the encirclement will be in anti-clockwise direction. And case 3, if n is equal to 0 when z equal to p, then no encirclement around the origin. No encirclement around the origin.